Hi everyone, and welcome back to the shop. This project is sponsored by me. Before you start your next woodworking project, I hope that you'll click on the link in the description below and check out my professional woodworking plans. I've got beautiful furniture projects for your home, some shop projects for your shop, and they all have step-by-step video tutorials right here on YouTube. So I hope that you'll click on the link in the description below and visit my site at johnpeters.com. Cutting boards like this are great and they make a great gift idea, but they're hard to pick up. You see, I just kind of moved it off the table to get my hand underneath it. So something that makes a big difference is a finger grab. It's as simple as that. So I made this pretty simple jig, just kind of figuring it out along the way. So I added to it, subtracted from it. Now I'm going to make it again with a little more knowledge. I've got the pieces here. We'll go ahead and build the jig. I'll give you all the measurements, and then we'll cut out the finger grab in this one. Since the cutting board is 14¼ inches wide, I'll cross cut this piece at 14¼ and that represents this part, which is the back of the jig. The two shoulders of the jig are 2 3/4 by 5 1/8, and that's the next cut. I'm using a little wood glue and I'll nail the back to the shoulders, making sure that I'm flush on the sides, flush all around. I've got a 2-inch nail in the nail gun. It's a good chance that this nail is going to blow out in some direction. So the best way to avoid that is to hold the gun like this. If you hold it like this, chances are you'll get a blowout, because when the nail comes out of the gun, it's going to bend this way or that way. It generally never bends forward or back. Somehow I screwed up on this one and I'm not quite flush, but it's not really that big of a deal. I'll trim it flush with the miter saw and then just center the jig on the cutting board when I use the router. Now I'm ready to connect the pieces to the front of the jig, and as you can see, it's made with 2 pieces and they're connected separately. So the first piece I'll notch out like I did here. This last piece at the front will support the router and keep it from tipping. So I did have one blowout, but it's on the back, so it's not a big deal. It's also a jig, so it's not that big of a deal. And I'm just going to set that just so it doesn't scratch the cutting board or make the cutting board unlevel, or not the cutting board, the jig unlevel. That's good. When I put it on the cutting board. I'll put the best side of the cutting board facing down and then clamp the jig in position, making sure I'm as close to flush on both sides. Since the jig is a tiny bit shorter, the cutting board is just a little bit proud of the jig. I cut the second one out off camera, and I wanted to mention that when I was using the plunge router, I was removing about 1/8 of an inch of material at a time. That's about a good amount of material. It's not going to overwork the router, and you'll get a nice clean cut. Also, you want to use a nice sharp router bit. I did have to modify the collet here, or whatever you call this thing. It was actually a little bit too long, so I used a hacksaw and cut it off. The first time I cut this out on this board, I was using a 3/8 bit, and the 1/2" bit just works better, but I soon realized that this part was too long, so I just had to modify that a little bit. So I think the next thing that really makes a cutting board that much better is a juice groove like I have right here. And I did make a video on how to cut in a juice groove last year, but if you didn't see that video, I'm going to do that again. I also think that this is the probably easiest and fastest way to do it. To cut in the juice groove, I've tacked a piece of plywood to the cutting board with a little hot glue. The plywood is 6 inches smaller than the cutting board in both directions, and that gives me a perfect 3-inch reveal on all 4 sides. I'll use a cove bit in the router and hold the base of the router tight against the plywood as I cut in the cove. Next, I'll measure in 1.25 inches and use the miter saw to cut a 45-degree angle on all 4 corners. Next, I'll put a small chamfer at the top and the bottom. Okay, well now these are nice and smooth. I sanded them to 120. I don't go too crazy. It is a cutting board and meant to get used. And then I finished them with the SoCal Woodshop board wax. I'll have a link to this stuff down in the description below. Good stuff, and it's what I use on all my food safe projects. The wood for the cutting boards came from the Woodworker's Source. These are called cutting board strips. And the wood on this project, or this cutting board, is maple. Forget what that one is. Purple Heart, maple, and Jatoba. This one is maple, zebra wood, maple, and again, Jatoba. I think that the finger slots really make a big difference in the usability of the cutting board. It's just really nice and easy to pick up. It's kind of ergonomic, and the juice groove is always a nice touch. Before you start your next project, I hope that you'll check out my website. I've got a ton of great project plans over there. Furniture for your home, shop furniture for the shop, and they all have step-by-step video tutorials right here on YouTube. So I hope that you'll click on the link in the description below and check them out. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. I've got a 1/2 inch bit in the plunge router, and I've set it up to plunge down to just a little more than 5/8 of an inch. You serious? If you would like my help building the furniture for your home, I hope that you'll visit my website at johnpeters.com and check out my furniture project plans. With the large variety of projects and links to the video tutorials right here on YouTube, I know that you'll find something that will inspire you to spend more time in the shop and build something beautiful for your home.